Mm.
Okay, guys.
How much?
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Yep, it started.
Okay, so you guys are sat around in the Beacon with Thackeray West, the old gentleman who is the lighthouse keeper there. You've just finished divvying up the loot from your expedition to the sea caves. He's taken his share, as you said, a bit of wine, a bit of tobacco, and some of the coins. He seems generally quite happy with it. At the minute, you're all pretty much fine, apart from Edwin, who's taken a bit of a pounding, and obviously your elven friend Marku is sort of phasing in and out of consciousness, having been on the receiving end of this horrendous walking corpses attacks. So you're sat there, and Thackeray Weston looks at you through his old, sort of slightly milky eyes, sort of scratching his bearded chin, and he says, "Well, that all seems satisfactory. Is there anything else you need?"
Well, could
yeah.
need a place to recover our elf.
If we can leave our elf here for a while.
He sort of looks at you and he scratches his head. He says, "Well, I'm not really running a guest house as such."
No, I mean, I understand, and I think, what if we gave you a pouch of tobacco more for it?
Well, maybe if you threw in a little bit of that, and you see him like looking at the barrels, and he like licks his lips. Maybe if you threw in a little bit of that lovely wine as well, I suppose I could look after him.
Well, no, because then we have to break the seal. But I will tell you, I'll give you a bottle of port from Riverhead. Supposed to be really good port. And she shelves down and find her bottle of port.
You hand over the bottle of port. He looks at it like, pops the cork off it, takes a sniff, and then a toothless smile forms on his face. He pops the cork back in. He says, "Well, looks like we've got ourselves an agreement then." And he goes, spits on his hand and holds it out towards you.
To give some in.
He shakes your hand and says, "Well, I'll put him in the back room. I can't promise any special care or anything. You know, resources are a little tight at the minute, especially with the import tax and all that. But yeah, he can lie in the back room and for a spell."
Yeah.
How long are you planning on leaving him here for?
I don't know, a couple of days at least. I don't know how fast elves heal, but
We want to try to sell some stuff. I don't want to carry the barrels all the time.
But since she looks around, he doesn't have any horseshoes around in the room.
Not as far as you can see.
She wanna test that room as you.
He says, "Well, if you're looking to head into Porthcrawl, I will be going in there in probably a couple of hours' time. Pick up a few bits and bobs here and there. Can't promise you a quick trip. My old nag Bessie, well, she's a bit past it, but well, she gets me there and back again. So
we aren't in a rush. We have to wait for an elf to recover.
Yeah, and maybe if you have like wheelbarrow or something we can use to transport the wine in.
Well, if you need help carrying stuff and you're going to Porthcrawl, well, you can just chuck it in the back of my old cart, as long as it's nothing too heavy.
Okay.
Mainly 2 barrels.
Oh, that's fine. Like I said, I'm going that way anyway, so it's no problem to drop you fellows off.
Did we check the barrels if they have any markings on them?
Yeah, property of Rothschild.
Yeah, that's the problem with it. It may be smuggling goods.
You didn't check them at the time. However, now sort of having a look at them, you can see on the bottom of them they have Pilgrim's Promise sort of burnt, like stamped onto the barrels.
I'm sure we can sell them cheap to the tavern owner. I mean, surely he wouldn't mind getting a little tax-free.
At which point Thackeray West sort of like bursts out laughing and he says, "Oh, Yeah. Well, if everyone in Porthcrawl was to take offence with anything that was mysteriously found or turned up for a cheaper price, well, we wouldn't have a village at all. I mean, everyone knows to look the other way. I mean, if it weren't for people with loads of money like taxing us, we wouldn't have to do this, would we? But things being what they are.
Yeah, we have to be practical about it.
I didn't necessarily take you for a parliamentarian.
We gave him a lot. I think we have an arrangement here, don't we?
Mm-hmm. Okay, Sasha will get one of the buff coats out. If she managed to, she will take one that has the less bullet holes in it and the less blood in it. And she will look. You said they had a tabard over the buff coat, right?
Yeah.
So the tabard would have all the insignia and heraldry, right? So it's a neutral buff jacket.
Yeah, the buff jacket is just a sort of dun, sort of plain brown colour. Whereas they've got sort of like a surcoat over the top of it, which is the one that's quartered into red and this sort of mustardy yellow colour.
I mean, we should keep maybe at least one of these uniforms in case we need it for Edwin. I mean, I don't think they will buy you or me, Atmos, or the elf.
Well, him, yeah, sure.
Should we all go?
Children fighting.
Should we all go to Porthcrawl aside from our elven friend we discovers here?
Yeah, why not? Unless, I mean, can you walk, Edwin?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, sure. It's just a sword wound. It's not the first.
Yeah, I think we should. I mean, I think we need we have to serve there. A night in front of the fire.
As you mentioned, it not being your first sword wound, Thackeray West sort of looked at you and he says, "Oh, military man, are you?"
Yeah. What gave me away? And I sort of look at myself dressed up to the nines in military gear.
He laughs and sort of like claps you on the shoulder. With there's very little strength behind his clap. You can tell he's obviously quite an old and feeble man, and he splutters a little bit as he sort of stands up, claps you on the shoulder, and then sits back down. And he says, "Well, if we're all going to set off in a couple of hours, we may as well all have a drink of this lovely port that your friends have been so kind as to give me." He says, "Well, it's the least I can do for for someone who fights for a good cause. I served a little bit of time myself. I wasn't always a lighthouse keeper back in my younger days." But without waiting for a response, he sort of gets these wooden mugs out and he starts sloshing a bit of this port into it for each of you and himself.
Sasha will hold her hand over her mug. No, thank you. I'll go. I mean, Edward, if you can help me with the elf, I'll see if I should change his bandages. And she takes the leaden mug and her knife with her. And assuming that Edwin can carry the elf, because I don't think... Yeah, you know what? Sasha has a 16 in strength. I mean, I forgot how she's strong. So she'll just carry the elf. Fuck it.
So I stay downstairs with Thackeray and... we cheers with the wooden mugs, and I just sort of I give it a sniff and then smile and say, like, hold out my hand from like my lower abdomen where the guy stuck the sword in me. I just hold it up to Thackeray and just like the red comes out and the red goes in.
I'll drink to that, and he like slurps down his port quite noisily.
I'm just silently following Sasha.
That's absolutely fine. Okay, so Sasha, you head to where you've stashed Marco, who is still unconscious. He keeps sort of like waking up a little bit and sort of murmuring and then passing out again. It looks like he's slowly sort of recovering consciousness.
Okay. Well, it's a tin mug or...
Wooden.
Wooden. Oh. Well, I guess it will do. She undresses him completely.
Okay.
Well, she keeps the bandages on him. And know what we should keep this. I mean, when he recovers his silver and all this. She looks at the will.
He just nods. Yeah, whatever. But we should try to keep his liquids in whatever they are.
So, in the human world, it's quite expensive to see a physician.
I don't know. Does he need one?
I don't know. He's an elf.
I see we have an information problem here.
Well, I mean, I'll just take a little sample. I mean,
just because he just came in, we doctored on you a little bit, and removed your clothes. You on a cart.
Is he anatomical correct?
Yep.
Well, she doesn't know how elves look. Okay, so could you hold him down? I'll just make a little insertion.
Sure. I tried to jump on him and hold his shoulders.
Okay, that's not a problem. Given the current state he's in, he has no strength to resist or anything, and he's still sort of half unconscious.
Okay. She's not gonna, stab him in the kidney or anything. She's just gonna apply pressure to the wound that is already open to milk a little of his his clear blood.
That's absolutely fine. You press down on one of his existing injuries, and a small trickle of this floral scented clear liquid sort of rolls down his side.
Okay.
Sniff it.
She'll try to catch it with the wooden cup.
That's fine. You catch a few drops of it in the wooden cup. William, as you smell it, it smells like a sort of fresh mown grass, flowers, the sense of a meadow or a forest, effectively.
I immediately cough.
That's kind of strange, isn't it? She sniffs at it. But it's pleasant.
Maybe he's a wood demon? I poke him.
Okay, I think at this point, while you're being poked, Marku, that it'd be an ideal time for you to sort of struggle back to consciousness. So you basically, since you were carrying him, would either of you two care to describe what his surroundings are when he wakes up?
Well, they probably found some old sacks or some hay or something he could lay in. Did he have a spare bed? If he did have a spare bed, they put him down there.
There won't have been a spare bed, but since, as he said, he's got this old nag that pulls his cart, there will have been sort of hay about and sort of stuff like that to feed the animal with.
Did he himself have a bedroll or something?
Did you have a bedroll, Marku?
Yeah.
Okay. Some hay and a bedroll, and then they placed it on that.
Some
and then
garlic as well, and a bit of lard, all the good stuff. All the good stuff.
And then they stripped him.
You're currently naked.
Well, you have the bandage on your side, but other than that.
Yeah, so you wake up stripped, you've got this bandage on still, you're lying on your bedroll with hay scattered around, and you're basically in a very small sort of shed that's adjacent to the lighthouse. There's this knackered old mule. You can see its rib cage. It looks like it's on its last legs, sort of roped up in the corner, and it's just idly chewing some of the hay, sort of seemingly disinterested in all of you lot.
And I'm sniffing on you.
I'll raise very slowly from my. Prop myself up on one, kind of elbow. Where are we?
Oh, you already recovered. That was fast.
You are safe.
You two can see that even though he's regained consciousness, there's clearly like not much strength in his limbs. So he's obviously, even though you've not got medical training, he's not recovered. He's just sort of regained consciousness. He still looks very weak, and his eyes are a bit sort of like unfocused.
What would be conventional knowledge? Is it good to keep him awake, or is it good to keep him sleeping?
You have absolutely no idea.
Whatever it is, we're gonna do the opposite. I think you need to lay down, because he provides gentle pressure on his.
I sort of lay it back down, like maybe like a couple of inches, and I'm like, where are my clothes?
Well, we had to take it off. It was completely soaked.
Okay. Did you kill that thing? The last thing I remember, I saw it. I think it was a man.
Yes, it's dead.
What was it?
I don't know.
It looked dead.
It looked wrong.
We found some weird seals it was sealed with, and a letter. It seems to be that someone tries to use these things as a weapon.
Yeah.
What kind of wood was that coffin made out of?
I have no idea.
Why is that important?
Just curious.
So, have you
Is
blood
this something
always?
you can? Do you know something about woods? Because you smell like it.
I smell like flowers.
And wood.
I know. I'm a carpenter by trade.
Oh.
There was things written on that box. But I didn't have time to decipher them, really.
Well, maybe
Sorry,
we can go back once you're recovered.
Who bandaged these wounds?
Well, I did.
I did.
Well, I put on the last.
You smell-
one to the other. Just
You smell like seawater and wine.
Yeah, and lard.
thank you. It was a kindness.
We may still need you. You know carpentry.
He takes the cup up and sniffs his blood.
Again, you smell this sort of floral, sort of meadow-like smell emanating from the wooden cup.
So she'll dip a finger in it and just taste it with the tip of her tongue.
Okay, have you ever tasted elderflower cordial in real life?
I have tasted elderflower, so I can
splendid.
imagine.
If you've tasted elderflower, that's what it tastes like.
Elderflower? What's that?
It's basically a.
I got it.
Yeah.
I got it. It's
They're
called Holunder in German.
Quite tasty.
I'm not sure about the human custom, but among my own people, tasting their blood is a little frowned upon.
It's a human thing. That's how
So
we.
this is blood. I thought it would be liquid wood or something.
Of course, it's blood.
Well, it's his kind of blood.
It's interesting. Are you a wood demon or something?
Is that what you think all those are? Demons?
That's what the rumor
I don't know.
As I look around for my things.
But
We will bring you to Porthcrawl, and you will have some time to recover. Maybe you can tell us something about it, if you want.
Okay, so as this is going on, you have been led, Edwin, down out of the lighthouse by the lighthouse keeper Thackeray West, and he's sort of talking to you about his old nag Bessie, and he says, I'll show you my cart. And at this point he sort of leads you around to this small wooden shed by the side of the lighthouse, which as you go in you'll obviously see William, Sasha, and that Marco has regained consciousness, so obviously you can enter the conversation. They appear to be having a conversation about wood demons of some kind.
would you like to taste human blood?
Let's leave the blood tasting to whoever is going to fix up our new friend in town.
Well, I mean,
You don't mind.
his blood is, well, it's rather tasty. She holds the cup out to Edwin.
I don't do that.
It's not blood, right? I mean, it's just like you know when you make it, when you slaughter a hawk, right? You take the blood and you make it into a blood sausage, right?
While Marco was too weak to really stop him from doing that, I do have a somewhat scowl on my face.
I don't want elf sausage though.
The old lighthouse keeper, Thackeray West, who's like stood behind Edwin while this is going on, sort of peers around him, and he sort of like crosses himself, and he's like, "Oh no, we can't be having any of that blood drinking and all that sort of pagan rubbish in this lighthouse. I'm a good God-fearing man."
Well, as I said, blood sausage.
What does God say about elves?
God doesn't give two shits about elves. Let's get going. I said about getting the...
I'll bring the barrels.
So,
the old man sort of like opens his mouth as if he's going to say what God says about elves, and that's when Edwin like cuts him off. And like, God doesn't give a shit about elves. Let's get this shit sorted out.
So, Meiku, was it? And she looks at the elf. Marco, okay. So we're going into town to sell some of the wine we got.
We did get some stuff. Yeah,
Do you want us to bring you anything back? I mean, do we need? Do we need some? I don't know, some resin to heal, or?
Just a change of clothes would be good.
Okay. So, do you want fancy clothes or just clothes?
Just clothes would be fine.
Okay. She'll take. I mean, how many silver do you have? I know you have 11, but do you have enough? Is it a heavy purse?
I'm not going to give you my purse.
That was just strip you down. I mean, unless you kept it in, unless you keysed it.
I mean, that's a good point. You just strip me down. Yeah, it's a small, like, leather pouch.
Okay, she'll take.
Formerly my small leather pouch.
How much is clothes, you think, Edwin? 5 silver would do?
What?
He wants us to buy some clothes for him.
Oh, 5 silver sounds way too much.
But I guess
I don't know if there's like a shortage of...
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna take 5 silvers from you, and if it is less, I'll bring back the change. Okay? Takes the 5 silver and put it into her.
That's very kind of you, Sasha. Could you please stop drinking my blood?
Mm-hmm.
I roll down a barrel and try to maneuver it on the cart.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. You load a barrel up onto the cart. The lighthouse keeper Thackeray is like, "Oh, I'm sorry, you're going to have to do that yourself. I would help you, but, well, my back's not what it used to be."
This body has plenty of strength. This should be good.
Yeah, she sort of raises an eyebrow when you say that.
While the others are not looking, she'll take one of her hardtack biscuit and dip it in the elven blood and see if it improves the taste or not.
It probably does improve the taste, because the hardtack biscuits are fairly tasteless on their own. It's just like eating like a plain digestive that has like no sugar in it. Whereas obviously with this, because it being quite sweet and almost syrupy, it does make it taste better actually.
Ooh. Oh, she'll soak another one in a
jelly toast.
And she'll offer it to Will.
No, I won't eat that. Sorry.
That's good. I'll still eat it.
It tastes sweet and fine.
Yeah,
I mean, you
that's why I
can't be
don't
this
like
picky.
it.
I wonder. I mean, if you encountered another demon, like another type of demon, would they have different blood too?
Of course they would. But this is no demon blood. And if it is, I don't know anything about it.
As you're saying this, Thackeray says, well, look, since you've been good to me, I'll give you a little bit of advice. You might want to keep all this talk of demons and such like quiet when you get to Porthcrawl. I know we're well, it's not a big town or anything, but well, we're people of faith. We believe in God's work, and all this talk of demons. Oof.
Yeah, obviously. She rolls her eyes as only a teenage girl can do. But we're among friends now.
I apologize. I didn't want to offend you.
He looks down at you and he sort of
curious.
reaches out and he like pinches your cheek a little bit in a friendly fashion and then says, "Oh, that's all right, young fellow. I understand young people. You're always curious about things, but well, I wouldn't want to see any of you youngsters get into any trouble or anything."
No, I don't like trouble.
Okay, well, she will help get the barrels into the cart. And
Do you want to rather rest at an inn? I look at our elfin friend.
Desi gives you a evil look.
Well, if you want to go to an inn, says Thackeray. Well, the only public house in Porthcrawl is the Siren's Whisper. Old Brock runs it. Well, Emily's wife, and as he says, he mentions Brock's wife, like a sort of cheeky little smile comes across his wrinkled old face.
I think you'll be safer here, Will.
I have no idea.
I mean, there's no knowing what an unconscious elf could be subject to in a public house.
But here you will be alone.
For a few hours.
You don't know that.
Oh my god.
Let's just take him to the tavern, well, the public house, really.
I'm sure I'll be alright. And I try to sort of stand up a bit. Oh, no kidding me, no. Okay.
I'll have a talk with the owner. We'll come to an understanding.
I nod.
Okay, so you guys are all heading off to Porthcrawl then?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Can I have some, can I have a shawl or something? It's cold outside.
I
yeah.
cover you with something. I'm not sure what I do have.
No, Sassy gives you one of the shirts, and I guess you have to take on your own pants, and you can borrow my jacket.
I tried to test
I had a buff coat, didn't I?
Yeah.
Where's my buff coat?
on the way there. I tried to clean my spyglass and try to test it.
Yep, it takes you a little while to sort of fiddle with the focusing of it, but it appears to be in perfect working order.
I mean, you have a fancy hat, a rapier, and a buff jacket and a pistol from our loot.
And a spyglass. I'm looking fancy as
True.
fuck.
Does this buff coat have any insignia on it?
No, it's plain.
I'm wearing my fancy hat, by the way.
Okay, just make sure I'm not wearing
It looks really stupid on me.
No, the buff coat itself, Marku, doesn't have any insignia on it. Previously, it had sort of like a surcoat, like a sort of cloth tabard over the top of it, which had like the colours of this Duke's troops. But obviously that's been taken off and it's now just like a plain brown buff coat.
Yeah. And we left. And I think we kept one of the uniforms, and the rest
At least. I mean, we could have taken anything.
I'm quite prepared for you to have kept all of the surcoats because you could just folded them up and bundled them up really small, so that's fine.
Yeah. Oh.
But we don't want to keep too much. I mean, it's kind of evidence of what we did.
Depends.
Evidence of a ship that just crashed offshore and washed up the contents to the beach.
I mean, how illegal exactly is it to loot something that is washed on shore? I'm not sure.
Well, says Thackeray, as you're also climbing into the cart and having this conversation. He says, "Well, technically, if it's washed up on shore, well, it's all salvage. There is the matter of there's supposed to be like tax you're supposed to pay on salvage, but wow, if you're not going to say anything, I'm certainly not."
Why should we then?
He sort of attaches his old mule to this small cart that you're all crammed into. The mule brays a little, protesting at the additional weight in the cart, but he's just like, oh, come on now, Bessie, come on, you can make it. And the cart slowly starts rumbling off towards Porthcrawl. As you,
what do we say if they ask how he got this wounded?
oh well, I don't know, but people are always getting injured. I mean, this is a fishing port after all. We always get plenty of people coming in on the boats, and well, they're a dangerous place.
He got swimming and got injured by a wave or something. Crashed against a cliff.
Okay, so as you guys are riding to Porthcrawl on this cart, is there anything in particular you want to do during the journey?
Just only when we get near Porthcrawl that I want to look at it through my spyglass, if anything weird is there or something.
Okay, as you're peering through your spyglass, you're sort of looking across the way ahead of you. You see what appears to be a young man. He's walking towards Porthcrawl. He has a large sort of Hessian sack over one shoulder and a fishing rod slung over the other. And as you're watching, you can see like something's wriggling about and moving inside the sack, and it's literally like bulging, like he's bent down a little under the weight of whatever's in this sack.
I point at it and hand the spyglass to someone near me.
Okay, I'll take it.
Okay, but when you look, you see, as I've described, there's this young man, smile on his face, fishing rod over one shoulder, huge, sort of weighty sack of something that's like wriggling about over his other shoulder, and you could guess from how his face is sort of pursed up that he's whistling, but also you can't hear at the distance you're at.
But does he look strange? Strained from the heavy sack?
He looks like he's struggling under the weight a little bit, but he's quite young. He appears to be fairly strong, so he's just sort of like bent over a little bit, but he seems all right.
I describe this guy to Zachary and ask him if he knows him.
He says, oh, well, it could be any of the youngsters from the village. Quite a lot of them will go out for a spot of fishing. Well, with food being as expensive as it is now, a lot of the villagers do a spot of fishing to help ends meet, you know.
Is this allowed?
I don't think it's fishing. I mean, fish don't only trash around in a sack.
Why not?
Well, they do for a bit, says Thackeray, until they die.
Yeah, but because they can't breathe there.
They die after a while, but that's it.
Yeah, but does this look like fish, or does it look like something larger?
It could be fish, but it's difficult to tell. I mean, obviously you've got the spyglass, but you are still fairly far away. But you know that given the slow speed this guy's walking at, you guys will overtake him before he gets to Porthcrawl. Because obviously you guys are on a cart, and he's like walking with this huge sack on his shoulder.
I think we should, stop, and she hands the spyglass back, and investigate. I mean, who knows? And she, I'll just load my pistol. Just safety.
He doesn't look dangerous, but okay.
Okay, so what?
I will. I will find my knife just in case this is going to go awry.
Okay, so what?
And then you remember that stabbing something would kill you probably.
So what's Edwin Locke making of this whole situation at the moment?
Profound disinterest, at least until something changes in the equation, but he's not interested in a local guy with a sack at all.
Okay, not a problem. And a few minutes later, you guys overtake this young man. He's still got this sack on his shoulder. You can see he's struggling a little bit with the weight of it now you're close up. As he sees your cart coming up, he's like, oh, all right, Holden. And he sort of waves at Thackeray. And he's like, young Tom, what are you doing out about here now? He says, just been doing a spot of fishing, Holden. And he sort of like brings his sack round and sort of holds it up in front of him. And he says, look at that. Did you ever see such a bulging sack of fish? Feed us for a week.
I lick my lips. Do you sell some?
You did that all on your own?
As he says, obviously you're accustomed to watching for sort of like slight movements in people. As you say that, sort of almost without thinking, so like his hand moves to like his chest a little bit, Obviously, the hand that's not holding the sack, he's put his fishing rod down. And he says, "Oh, yes, sir, I've been out since early morning, I have."
How many poles?
"Well, just this one," he says, and he sort of reaches down and holds up his fishing pole.
I look at Thackeray like, this guy is full of shit.
Thackeray says, "Oh, well, you've been lucky there, young un." He says, "Well, what with the fishing harvest being so poor recently," he says, "oh, well, God must have smiled down on you went out there this morning."
Where exactly did you fish that?
He says, "Well, just over on one of the pools over there. Just went down one of the cliffside paths where there's a bit of a sandbank. Dangle me rod in the water, and there you go."
Chester jumps out of the cart and walks towards him.
He doesn't react. He's just like small like girls jumped. You see him sort of like almost subconsciously trying to like slick back his hair a little bit with one hand as a small red-headed woman sort of jumps off and runs towards him. He like puffs out his chest a little bit, but other than that, he doesn't react.
I am selling some of them. We might like to purchase some of it.
Well, yeah. If you got something to barter for it, I suppose I could spare a fish or two.
I want 10. I look at Sasha.
We got some. She looks at his feet. Does he wear footwear?
You can see he's effectively got some very crude sort of like sandals on his feet.
Oh, I got just the thing for you. She goes back to the cart and takes out a pair of the boots. See, boots. These will keep you. These will keep your feet warm and dry.
He looks at the boots. He says, "Oh, well, they are mighty fine boots. I'll give you that, miss." He says, "Well, yeah, I'd certainly be willing to trade you a few of my fish for that."
So 10 fish for these pair of boots.
I'm sorry, miss. I couldn't give you 10 of them. I mean, I know I've got a load here in my sack, but well, most of them I needed to feed my family.
Okay. Well, how many fish do you want to give us?
I could probably spare 5 at most, miss.
Okay, 5 it is.
And he
looks very disappointed, but okay.
He takes out like 5 of these fish, and you can see they're sort of still wriggling about as it takes them out. "You got a bag to put them in, miss?" Lively little beggars they are.
Do we have a bag? Well,
Yeah, but there's a zombie head in it, so maybe let's not use that.
you know what?
As you say that, the kids are like, "Oh, Lord have mercy! You've got Ed on board." And he sort of takes a couple of steps away from you.
No.
I would just take some clothes we got.
It's it's his dialect. It's just a strange dialect. Don't worry about it. I'll take just give a bit of fish, and as he gives her a fish, she whacks it and throws the dead fish into the cart.
Yeah, that's fine. He passes you his wriggling fish, and as he passes over each one of the 5, you're like on a rock and throw it into the back of the cart. That's absolutely fine.
I tried to catch one.
Yeah, no problems. The cart's smelling a good deal less fragrant with the floral smell of elf blood now. There's more sort of like a musty sort of like fishy smell hanging over the cart.
At least it's fresh fish. At least it's fresh fish. Oh, okay. Tom, was it?
That's right, miss.
Oh, thanks. I think we'll enjoy the fish. It's been a while since we had a fish, right? We will.
You can see as he's talking to you, he's still like got his eyes on William, who's just sort of like eating this raw fish. You can see young Tom's looking a little bit disturbed by it, but he doesn't say anything.
I didn't say I'll eat it, but okay. No problem. I would have done it anyways, sometime in the future. I have a really crude method. I just take my both hands and shove it into my face.
Are you going to Porthcrawl, Holden? Shouts young Tom. At which point Thackeray says, "Yeah, get in the cart." At which point this young lad sort of like puts his sack of fish in the cart and climbs up next to you. "Oh, cheers, Holden. That'll save me lovely new boots," he says, sort of flexing his feet about with his new boots on.
Do you always catch this much?
No, it's funny you should say it, but well, the harvests have been like terrible recently. That's why I went down there so early. But well, the good father up at the church, he gave me he called it a good luck charm and said that he thought he might bring me luck with my catch. And well, look at this, he says, and he points at the bag.
I patted my chest and pointed at his. Was it what you touched before?
Yeah, that's right.
Can I see it?
He says, yeah, I suppose. And he reaches sort of under his vest, takes out what was on a chain around his neck, and you can see it's a sort of gold-coloured pendant, quite small, but it appears to show a small golden fish on a chain.
I look at Sasha.
Is that any significance to any of us?
Was there something where the wizards could detect magic or something with, just like that, or is that in another system I'm thinking of?
I think you only if you have a spell for it, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, you need a spell for it.
I can read magic. But
Yeah, Sasha can do that too, doesn't she?
Yeah.
But it's something different.
I guess it worked.
As you're sort of, like, since you're the closest one and you're sort of investigating it most closely, William, as you're looking at it, you can see that whilst it does appear to be this small golden pendant of a fish, as you look more closely at it, you can see that the actual sort of face of the fish has an almost sort of like human-like quality to it, like it's a sort of caricature of a fish.
What god is this?
He says, "Oh, it's no god, sir. It's just a good luck charm. Nothing like that. Well, there is only God, obviously."
Oh,
Is it real gold or just fake gold?
He says, "Oh, I don't think it can be real gold, sir. I don't think the poor old church would be be giving out golden talismans just to like young folk like me to go and do a bit of fishing."
Oh, probably not. Oh, Sasha sits back and contemplates making. If she could get her hand on a little more elf blood, she could cook the fish in that, and that would be so tasty.
It's nice to see you've upgraded from lard.
was this what was the name of the priest you said again? Where you got this pendant from?
He says, "Oh, right, it was old Father York."
Thank you.
Oh, that's all right. And the wagon begins to rumble on towards Porthcrawl. Obviously, you guys can have a bit of a chit chat with the young Tom. That's absolutely fine. He's just making general chat. You basically managed to find out from him that his family are quite poor, so his mum's not very sort of steady on her feet. So he does what he can. He goes out, tries to catch some fish, to help feed the family, etc. He's got
offer. Sorry. Yeah.
That's fine. Go ahead.
I offer one of the raw fish to our elf. Are you hungry? Marco, are you hungry?
Oh, I'm still muted. Always happens. Yeah, but I prefer it a little bit prepared.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. I will prepare it some way down. You have to be patient.
At which point, young Tom says, "Well, I'll tell you what I like to do. I like to go out and get myself some herbs and stuff like that. Slice the fish down the middle, stuff all the herbs in, put it on a stick, put it over a fire. Lovely. Nice and simple. You can't go wrong."
Yeah, I mean, we have some garlics, so that's really tasty.
There you go.
We could try it without these herbs, but yes. Maybe.
Oh, that's good.
So young Tom, why aren't you in the war?
He says, "What?" He's like, "Well, I've got to stay at home and look after my family. Who's going to take care of my old mum if I disappear off to go fight in the royalists and all that?"
You mean they gave you a choice?
He says, "Wow, no one's come round to tell me I've got to sign up. If that's what you mean."
And Edwin looks genuinely surprised at the apparent lack of drafting recently. And he just claps Tom on the shoulder, like, "Good lad. Taking care of family is better in every way."
You know what would be good with fish, and see rummage through one of William's backpacks and find out a bottle of the poor wine she bought. This, and she hands it to Tom. You should give this to your mom. I think it would be good with the fish.
He takes off. He says, "Oh, thank you very much, miss. That's very kind." And he says, "Well, yeah, times have been hard ever since my father died, but I'll look after her the best I can."
I come closer to Sasha and try to whisper something in her ear. "You are very generous today."
No, I mean, he's kind of like us, right? Victim of the war.
As you guys are chatting,
I see.
The cart starts reaching the outskirts of Porthcrawl. You can see the bridge over the river, so up ahead of you, a scattering of houses. You can see numerous boats by the riverside where it joins the sea. To your left, as you approach, there is a sort of large hill with a very sort of like fancy, almost like mansion on top of it, and across the river, across the bridge, you can see further buildings. As you're getting nearer, the smell of fish is becoming a lot stronger. Obviously, it's a port town. Fish is their main business, so pretty much the whole town reeks of it.
Okay, well, if you put off, set up Tom. What is the word when you drop off Tom? Well, enjoy the meal, and I mean, if you hear anything that would be of interest, like the amulet, or I don't know, strange going on, stuff like that. We our leader here fancies himself as an adventurer, and see nods toward Edwin.
He says, "Well, as he's sort of climbing down, he says, well, only strange thing I can think about recently is the number of dead fish that have been turning up."
Dead fish? Oh.
Yeah, that's right. You remember me saying like a little while back along the ways that the fishing harvest hadn't been so good? Well, it's because like every time we've been going down to the water, we've been finding loads of fish washed up dead. And while they all smelt a bit funny to me, so I didn't want to touch them.
Where are they? Washed ashore?
He says, "Yeah, well, you go down any of the beaches locally, you'll probably find some of them."
I don't know if that's...
I look curious.
In dead fish? Not really.
I am.
I know you have this fish thing, but I mean, I don't think you can eat them.
I don't want to.
I don't think you should eat them.
I don't want to.
But we were more like, if you hear about any, business opportunities, we could compensate you.
Business opportunities, miss?
Yeah, if you hear something, you can earn a little extra silver.
Old caverns, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how much I'll hear about anything like that, but well, if I do, what are you staying in town? Are you?
Yeah.
For a couple of days.
I'm sure you can find us if you hear anything.
All right. Okay. Well, yeah. I can't say that I will, but if I do, I'll try and let you know, miss.
Great. Thanks. And enjoy the meal.
I'm looking at Edwin. How are you feeling?
How do you mean?
About the fish.
I don't particularly feel anything towards fish.
The dead fish. Do you think there's
Even
something
less towards
interesting?
them.
It could be something interesting. If it started recently, maybe there is something in the water.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm gonna do about some water.
Yeah, what if it's some sort of weird sea creature? I mean, we don't really want to tackle with that, right?
I don't want to go swimming with sea monsters if that was your plan.
Or that's something about this letter, and I wiggle this thing around. A weapon?
Well, that I'm interested in. Now you got my attention, but still, I don't want to go swim with those things.
Oh yeah, we should talk about the letter. I mean,
If they're on the beach,
could use a boat. We could use a boat.
I'm not going out to sea to hunt a sea monster. I mean, just put that out of your head.
Just saying, maybe it's interesting. And put it away again.
We'll make a note of the dead fish and look into it after a while if they're still dead.
Yeah, we still have to sell stuff. We shouldn't look too suspicious.
Yeah. Speaking of selling, do you think that letter would be worth anything to the parliamentarians?
Maybe. I'm not good at selling. We should go to the tavern and try to sell our wine first.
Yeah. As you're having this conversation, the old mule and cart rattle across the bridge, across the river, and the old man, Thackeray West, pulls it to a stop, the mule braying briefly. He points at a sort of L-shaped building to the left of you. You can see that there's a small wooden sign sort of hanging from it, and there's a very crudely painted picture of a beautiful woman with waves crashing behind her. Thackeray's like, well, there you go. That's old Brock's place. The sirens whisper just there, and he like jerks his thumb at it.
Great. Sasha jumps out of the cart. If you get the barrels out to the backside, I'll go in and see if we can sell them. I don't think we should bring, them in to the front door and just say, "Hey, we're selling wine."
Okay.
And
If you want, I could wait with the barrels while you go in.
I don't think you have a choice, though. I mean, you can.
Maybe you should ask first where we should put it.
Yeah, okay, but just put them out of, so that they're not on the main street. And I don't know, put the fish in Edwin's helmet or something. And she goes into the inn.
Okay, you walk into this inn. It's a fairly simple affair, sort of wooden stalls, small wooden tables. There's a bar in one corner of it. It's fairly empty at the moment. You can see there's a fairly tall, sort of burly man. You can see that he's got a couple of visible sort of sailor's tattoos on his neck. He's wearing a slightly stained white apron, like I say, quite burly, has sort of black mutton chops and black hair, which is starting to go a little bit grey. As you walk in, he looks at you without saying a word. He just sort of nods.
Okay, so we'll go in and kind of flip her hood back, and then put on the poor little girl persona, and looks at her with her big eyes. Maybe you could help us, mister.
Maybe. What do you want?
Well, with the war and all the unfortunate things going on, my father was wondering if you might be interested in purchasing some wine. We would have drank it ourselves, but we need food more.
Well, I dare say I could scrape up some food for you. Where'd you get this wine from?
Oh, it's something he bought from a tradesman back east.
Oh, right. You are then. How much you wanting for it?
Does he have any idea what wine is worth?
Just it depends on how good the wine is. Out of character, of course.
Mm-hmm. This is fairly decent wine, so you'd be expecting at least like a silver piece for each.
For a bottle.
Yeah, for a bottle.
Well, this is maybe we could take it out back and you can take a look, or do you want us to bring it in here?
Oh, that's fine. Bring it out to the yard round back. I'll have a look at it. Then as he's walking through, he shouts, "Poppy! Poppy! Got some business out the back. Keep an eye on the place for us, will you?" And like from another room, you hear a woman's voice say, "Oh, all right. I'll be out in a minute. Keep your hair on."
Okay, she goes out. Okay. I assume they're still there. They haven't killed each other or died from poison fish or anything.
No, they're still there. Brock walks out with you, and he's like, "Yeah, just bring it round the back here, round the back of the inn."
She looks at Edwin. Okay, father, he would be interested in buying our wine.
I just looked it up. A barrel typically has around 25 bottles in it.
25 bar. Oh,
yeah, so
rich.
you're looking at like 25 silver a barrel. Although that's the going price.
Yeah, that would be the normal price.
He would sell that at that price.
At this price, he would sell it.
Yeah.
Well, he would probably sell it by cup, but okay. She helps roll one of the barrels out back. She looks at Will. Maybe you could help Marco inside.
Sure. I jump down and help him.
Yep, not a problem. Are you being led inside, Marku?
She's gonna. I mean, if there's any mud, she's gonna try to roll the barrel through the mud, so kind of to cover up the markings on the barrel just a little bit.
Nicely done. Yep, not a problem. It's been fairly damp recently since we're in autumn, so yeah, you easily roll it through some patches of mud, and the lettering's on the bottom anyway, so it's not difficult. That's absolutely fine. So whilst William is leading Marco inside, Edwin and Sasha, you take this wine round the back. Brock sort of opens up one of the barrels, takes a sniff at it, and he says, "Yeah, that seems all right. How much you want then?"
So I reckon it's 17 silver per barrel, I think. We got him for 18 apiece, so.
And how many have you got, did you say?
We have 2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. 2 barrels.
He says, I'll tell you what, make it 15 per barrel and you've got yourself a deal, mister.
15 each, and food for me, myself, my kids, and my forest friend here. How's that?
How long are you going to want food for?
Yon forest friend is gonna need a week. The rest of us will be fine with tonight.
He says, yeah, I suppose I can throw in the food for that, but it's not going to be anything fancy. We're humble folk around here. Fish stew mostly.
It's not
That's
a problem.
fine.
Right, you are then. He spits on his hand and holds it out towards you.
Yeah, I do the same. Give it a shake.
He shakes your hand and he says, well, if you head round inside and make yourselves comfortable, my old lady will look after you, get you a drink, whatever. I'll get these loaded and then I'll go and sort out your money.
That's great.
Sasa is immediately regretting the barrel they gave to Tagari.
And Tucker is back there like...
He's like riding through town like, yeah, boy!
Yeah, just like buying gold chains.
You get to see him going past in the middle, all like blinged up with like a white stallion pulling his cart.
Spinners on his wagon wheels.
That's it, but blue light under the cart.
Yep.
That would be another 12 silver and 5 copper for each.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so are you guys heading into the inn, or...?
Do you want to take it, Sasha?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's 25 silver, right?
For you, yeah. I don't even touch my money, I just... Sasha shakes it.
Yeah, so you guys head inside to the Siren's Whisper. As you get inside, you can see there's a slightly sort of portly, red-haired woman stood behind the bar. As you walk in, she's like, "Oh, hello, sit yourselves down, dearies." And she gestures some of these wooden stools.
Okay, but is there one of them who has some, like a fur coat or something, or a chair? So we'll place the elf in that one.
Probably close to the fireplace,
Yeah.
I would think.
Yeah, you can see there's a small fireplace. There is like a bit of a rug down there. It's some sort of animal fur. You're not entirely sure of the pedigree of the animal. Maybe a wolf or something similar.
Just a dog.
It looks a bit sort of flea bitten and a bit sort of like past its best, but
You won't catch fire, right? I mean, as he helps him sit down in the chair.
okay. So Marku, you're helped to sit down by Sasha, and she says, "Oh, you're not going to catch fire, are you?"
No, I should be fine, thank you.
Okay, do you still want me to get the clothes for you, or?
Yes, please. If the other ones are damaged.
I want to look at fish.
You want to look at the fish you were given?
No, the fish washed ashore. The dead fish. I'm curious.
I think he's just stating it to the elf. yeah, okay. If you have time, we'll go look at the fish. But not now. Markerin here needs to rest up and heal.
Yeah. I'm sort of flitting in and out of consciousness every now and again, so like I'm still on the cusp of
Hey, well,
death.
since he's kind of delirious, do you think he remember how much silver we got?
I'll remember how much is in my pouch.
Whilst you guys are thinking about this, the red-haired woman pops a wooden bowl down in front of each of you. It's got a sort of thin, gruel-like fish stew in it, with a few chunks of fish, maybe some potatoes in it. There you are, lovies. That'll put hairs on your chest.
Oh, lovely.
Thank you. And I look at her a little bit too long.
I'm sort of absent-mindedly running my hand along the wooden table, just filling the grooves, man.
Sasha will eat some of her gruel / stew, and
It's fairly bland and tasteless. There are a few chunks of fish in it, though. It's cheap village fare, basically.
well, she'll after she ate her, she'll sit over to the elf and kind of feed him.
Yeah,
Do
not a
you
problem.
eat human food? Yes, as he puts the spoon to his mouth.
It's just food.
Well, I don't know what elves eat.
Maybe you should just tell her anything you know about elves. That would be helpful for the future. Or she would just ask you about everything. And I eat my stew, and I seem to enjoy it.
I think you should just assume that I'm like one of you. If there is a difference, I'll point it out. If it means so much to you.
No, I mean,
Sasha.
just curious. I mean, I assume there's more of you. I mean, where do you live? I mean, do you have a village nearby?
We don't tend to live in villages like this, no. We prefer our own company, for the most part.
Okay. Well, I'll. He puts the ball down in his lap and puts the spoon in his hand. I'll go see if I can find some extra clothes for you.
I want to talk to this old father, Yolk. Do you know where he is?
Probably at the church.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
Is the church
But,
outside of town, though, or is it in town?
There's in town is the church.
Uh huh.
Here.
It's
I
pretty.
think that-
It's pretty much just over the road from where you are now.
Are you staying here, Edwin?
Well, I was going to go and spend some of this silver, but well, please feel free to partake of the spiritual services of Father York. I will be either here or about my business in town. and I'll make sure that they look after Marco here.
Oh, okay. But he kind of looks at Marco fading in and out of consciousness, and just for safety reasons, she's gonna take his pouch again and put it in her pocket. I'm just gonna keep it for you.
I will continue to eat my meal for the moment and think about, because Marco's just concerned. I mean, no one seems to be, as far as he doesn't know what humans think, but he saw something that just seemed completely wrong. The last thing he saw was like a face just melting off. It didn't look right. What the hell were those royalists doing?
We don't know, and it would just degenerate you to think about it too much.
Yeah.
And it's not something we're going to talk about in public too much.
No.
So
She will leave with Will, and as soon as they're out of any earshot, she will lean in and show you it's a good idea. Going to the church, you know.
This body shouldn't be affected by this church normally. I would have be affected by the chains otherwise. I just want to know about this pendant because it doesn't look like something that their god made.
Okay,
and
but
maybe it's interesting.
Let's say this is a person of actual fate, not just a charlatan.
He could be someone of the old phase.
Well, he could be dangerous.
We are dangerous too.
I mean, not that dangerous.
I'm just curious. If I would think he's a danger to me, I think I wouldn't go.
Okay, so let's assume nothing happens, but just in case, if something happens and your body
I will just play the part as a human. Don't worry. I'm just a boy.
Okay, so are you guys heading to the church?
Well, he is. She's gonna find someone who sells clothes.
Yep, I'm going to church.
Okay, not a problem. William, you head up to the church, which is one of the larger buildings, unsurprisingly, in the village. As you're getting near to it, you can see there's like a small tower with a bell on it that you would assume is rung at services. As you head in, again, because it's the middle of the day, there's only a few people sort of dotted around in the various pews inside the church. You can see probably sort of like a youngish gentleman. He's wearing priestly vestments, the white and black, of a member of the Church of Westhaven. As you walk in, he appears to be in the middle of a service. He's calling on God, asking God to see the village through its current trials and tribulations, calling on the people there, the congregation, to band together as a community, as they have always done, saying that he knows that times are tough, but it's in these times of great trial that God seeks to test us, to prove our faith. We must all remain strong in our faith in the Lord, and together as a community we will thrive and we will flourish. You see a couple of people who sat down, sort of nodding as he's saying this.
I will try to keep at the back rows of the church. Try to keep my distance to this man as much as possible, and try to imitate what everyone else is doing until he's finished with his stuff.
Okay, not a problem. As you reach the end of the service, you see he brings out a small golden bowl from the altar at the front of the church. He places it on his lectern in front of him, and as he does so, all of the people in the church sort of stand up and, like in a line, start filing towards him. The first person reaches him and he dips his hand into what appears to be water in the bowl and says, "The blessings of the Lord upon you," and he just like touches his fingers to their forehead, and you see like a dribble of water run down. They're like, "Oh, thank you, Father." The next person, they file out of the church. The next person steps forward and he says, "Blessings of the Lord upon you, my child," and sort of anoints their forehead with this water as well.
I try to hide behind one of the church banks so he doesn't see I'm not lining up.
That's absolutely fine. He, as the last of the people he's anointing file out, he doesn't appear to have noticed you, so intent is he on his sermon and his ceremony. He then puts the bowl back on the altar, closes up the book that was in front of him on the lectern, and you see he sort of like dusts himself down, straightens his clothes a little bit, and he starts moving around, so they're shutting up the prayer books, basically generally giving the place a bit of a tidy up.
Yeah, I just try to walk casually up to him.
That's fine as you get to him. Did you say
I
anything?
I bow down. Hello, Father.
Oh, greetings to you, my child.
I bow down and and try to wait until he gives me a gesture to go up again.
Yeah, as you sort of bow down, he sort of leans down and like picks you up, and he says, "But please, my child, the only person, well, the only, I'm just a man who is unworthy of your worship. All of our prayers should be directed to the Lord Almighty. It is Him that you must place your faith in, my child." And he sort of like gently sort of like lifts you to your feet.
I just thought you would speak for him. That's all.
Well, I can only speak for what I believe in, my child, and I have faith that I am doing God's work here, but I would not be so arrogant as to say that I speak directly for the Lord, for His ways are mysterious and not given for man to know.
That's much is correct, yes. I'm looking for someone who's called Old Father Yoke. Do you know him? You don't look like an old father.
Well, I don't know about old, but I am Father York, he says, sort of like chuckling a little.
Oh, you don't look old.
Well, no, I'm not. Perhaps old was meant as in I've been here for a while, and well, I've spent a good portion of my life in Porthcrawl.
Okay. I met a young man who got fishing today, and he caught a lot of fish with a pendant you gave him.
Oh yes, that must be young Tommy. Sad story. Ever since his father drowned, well, he's been struggling to make ends meet to support his poor old mother. She never really recovered after the loss of her husband, I'm afraid. And well, I do what I can to help them out. I think it's the duty of us all as a community here in Porthcrawl to try and help out those who have fallen on hard times. I like to think it's what the Lord would have wanted from us.
At least he joined the army. And I don't say what I mean with that. And I look to him. Do you sell these pendants? You get him? He seems to work really well.
No, not at all. I wouldn't sell such a thing. And he leans down and says, "Truth be told, I don't believe the talisman has any divine power or anything. I merely gave it to young Tom. I thought it would help settle his mind and help bring him some peace. But if, as you say, it has helped him, then..."
Where did you get it then?
Well, it's one of a number of small items that we found washed up on the shoreline recently. You might call them gifts from God. And he says, we have some others here. We've placed them in our shrine as offerings, and he sort of leads you around this small altar, and you can see there's a small wooden chest on it. He opens it up, and there's what appears to be at least sort of 6 or 7 pieces of small jewellery, all of this golden colour in there. They all appear to show some form of fish or aquatic life, but again with sort of like slightly caricaturized human features.
Do something like this look familiar to me in any way?
Not really, no. Like I say, it's a little odd that they all seem to have human faces on them, but it doesn't specifically mean anything. I mean, you do know of some of various water demons, but...
Could I lend them, or... I would be really interested in having something like that.
Well, if you're experiencing a time of hardship, the church is here to help out all of the residents of the village. Will we be seeing you at the service later on?
I think so. I'm here with my sister and some of our friends. We have lost our parents in the war.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry to hear that, my child. And he sort of gently puts a hand on your shoulder in a comforting gesture.
I try to look sad.
Well, in that case, please, you must take one of these pendants. And he reaches inside the box and hands you one of these small. This one appears to be, again, it's some sort of like squid or something similar, or some form of like sea mollusk. But again, it has this weird sort of caricatured human face on it. It says, "You must please take this with my blessing. I hope that it will bring you some small comfort in these dark times. Please just remember that the Lord our God is good, and although his ways are not for us to understand, in every hardship in our life there is a purpose, and know that each of us is special in God's eyes, and I pray that you may find some release from your suffering." And he sort of presses this little token into your hands.
I take it maybe a little too aggressively, and just nod at what he said. Thank you. I will come back. And I nod.
Thank you. Well, we'll be doing the traditional blessing of the catch later on when the late catch is brought in. It's something of a village tradition. Most of the Porthcrawl folks will be there.
What do you think about these dead fish?
Well, it's a little bit strange, to be sure, but as I've said, God moves in mysterious ways. It has been a hardship. Many people are struggling to make ends meet, but I feel that it has brought us closer as a community. In times of hardship, that is when people most turn to their faith in the Lord. I'm sure it is simply a test, and that, as with most hardships, it will pass, and we will emerge from this crucible stronger than we were before.
Your God can be cruel, but I think maybe it's justified. I don't know you guys. I nod again and I go out, try to go outside.
Yeah, that's fine. As you walk out, he just says, "The Lord be with you, my child."
And with you. And I go outside. You can see me shivering slightly when I go out. And then I try to find Sasha.
So whilst that's been going on, Edwin, what have you been up to?
So, first, I would have made sure that Marco is not going to choke on his stew or anything like that.
No, you think he'll be
get
fine.
Him settled. Yeah, and
I've got elven windpipes, they never close.
Yeah. So I would head out. Actually, I would inquire at the. Well, I suppose there's no. Well, there's probably a small counter in the public house. So
Indeed.
I go and grab our hostess, and I say, I think I'm coming down with something. Oh, that sleeping outside is doing a number on me. So.
Why don't we go and sit by the fire, lovey, and we can talk about whatever you need to keep the chill out of your bones.
No, it's the kind where you need a herb.
Oh, right, I see, dearie. Well, you'll be wanting to talk to the old sage then.
That's Salazar, right?
That's right,
Sage.
dearie.
Yeah. So where do I go? It's sorry.
If you follow the coastline north, you'll see his tower. Not too far away. Shouldn't take you long to get there, dearie.
Okay. Yeah. Usually I don't get sick, so. Well, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for the advice and the directions.
Oh,
boy.
No problem, Dewey. Are you sure there's nothing else I can do? You do look a little pale.
You can keep an eye on my friend there by the fire.
She nods and says, yes, of course. As soon as Brock's finished with whatever he's doing and he can look after the bar, I'll sit with your friend for a little bit and make sure he's all right.
During this time, John, or Master John, I have been scanning the room with my nice fancy hat, sort of pulled down a bit to cover my ears, to take in and see if anyone's paying us any undue attention, or if there's any parliamentarians in there, or any royals.
You see there's only like half a dozen other people in there. You do is just sort of looking around. You do notice there's one man who seems to be like sort of keeps like glancing over in your direction. He's a sort of slightly sort of blubbery sort of fat gentleman wearing a sort of rough hewn coat. He's got a flat cap on. Like I say, he's quite sort of jowly. He has sort of like quite sort of like large, almost like watery blue eyes. And he keeps sort of like glancing over in your direction. Whenever you like look back at him, he sort of quickly looks down at his cup and he's like making this sort of odd slurping sound as he's drinking his drink.
Do I recognise him from being around these parts? Is someone that...
You know, it's not someone that you're particularly familiar with.
Okay. I will mention this to Edwin when he pops by. Like, anyone that you know? Should we be concerned?
Do I, John? My guess is no.
Right.
Yeah.
You guess from what he's wearing that he's probably one of the local fishermen.
Yeah. So I'm probably bringing back like a mug of water or something to Marco. I leave him with it, and I go to what I presume is a local fisherman. He's sitting at his own table, I guess.
Yeah, he's just sitting at a little table on his own. He's got one of the wooden mugs with some watered down ale in front of him, and he's slurping at it noisily. It's like flat cap pulled down.
Yeah. So I grab a stool, and I sit myself down, and I sort of up nod at him.
He just like doesn't say a word, but like tips his cup in your direction, so nods, and has another slurp out of it.
I see you're interested in my friend, or at least that's the impression he got.
Well, we don't see a lot of his sort around here. You can't hardly blame a body for being curious, can you?
No. I was just wondering if you're the type to just look, or did you have something else in mind?
No, just curious, that's all. And as he's talking to you, he has an odd sort of like gurgling quality to his voice.
Sort of like phlegm in his
pretty much.
throat.
He sounds like he's got like a really bad cold, and he's sort of gargling phlegm when he's talking to you.
I narrow my eyes at him and I go, I'm gonna go get some herbs. Do you need something?
No, I'll be all right. Just a bit cold out on the boats. That's all it is. I'll be all right for the evening catch. Don't you worry.
Right. Well, and how much is like a mug of ale here?
It'd be like a copper piece for like the piss weak watered down beer that is.
Yeah. So I dig into my pouch and I bring up 5 copper for him, and I put the stack in front of him on the table, and I go, "You have another one on me, or 5."
He reaches out a hand and sort of like slides the coin back towards himself. As he does so, you notice that he has webbed fingers. And he like slides his coin across, and he's like, "Oh, thank you very much."
So, and I'm raising up as I notice his hands, and I furrow my brow, but I try to play it cool and to sort of smooth myself over, and I'm heading out the door, and then I turn back and I go, "What's the? You said something about a catch. Are you going out to fish some more, or?"
Yeah, I'll be out on the boats later on, and while the father will be doing his traditional blessing of the catch, so I've got to be there for that. It's a big event in the village.
John.
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was trying to catch in conversational moment. Can I spot one of those fish-like human pendant things on this guy?
Not as far as you can see.
Okay.
John, would I be familiar with this blessing of the catch thing, having lived here before?
Yeah, you know that it's tradition when the evening catch is brought in. They have like a little bit of a parade where the fish is all sort of brought in on the boats. The Father York, then gives like a sort of ceremonial blessing, or the Lord be praised for this food which he bestows upon us, etc.
Yeah.
And then the food is taken back to the various fishmongers, etc., and they prepare it and it's doled out, etc. It's just like a village festival, effectively. But it's quite important for the local villagers because they rely so much on fish to provide them. So pretty much all of the village turns out, and generally as well, it's a bit of an excuse to like have a few drinks, do a bit of bartering, get some fresh fish, etc.
Someone brings out the violin. You have a dance.
Exactly, yeah. Some people, some like the older folk in town, like see it as like quite a like religious thing, whereas others are just like, we turn up, we have a few drinks, we have a few laughs, we'll chat with our mates, we bring the fish in. Obviously, the fishermen, they've been out there working long hours, they all want to relax, have a few drinks, etc. The fishmongers are obviously waiting for the catch to come in so they can get it ready.
Yeah, and I clap him on the shoulder again. I say, like, "I'll see you at the catch, then."
As you sort of clap him on the shoulder, he like coughs a little bit, and again in this quite sort of like phlegmy voice, and you see what appears to be like a thin like trickle of like clear liquid like run down his chin that he quickly like wipes off with the back of his sleeve. Oh yeah, I expect I'll see you at the blessing then.
Right. I go to the door and I turn around. I give Marku the thumbs up, presuming that he had looked my way anyway, but I was giving him that he's cool. He's probably going to cough his lungs out soon, so don't worry. And I head out, following the directions I got for the sage.
Okay.
I've idly, without really realising, I've idly been carving some of those symbols onto the table, John. I saw. This is my brain just can't get the vision out of it. So I started looking down at them.
As you're sort of doing that, the back door opens and this tall sort of brusque man, Brock, with his black mutton chops and his greying hair, walks back in, goes behind the bar, at which point his red-haired wife comes and sits down on a stool next to you, Marku, by the fire, and she peers at you and says, "So how are you doing, dearie? Are you feeling any better?"
A little bit. I had a bit of a tough time. Went fishing today, and I do have my fishing on my things. Got a bit of a chill, I think.
She puts down another bowl of this like watery stew in front of you and says, "Well, you eat that up then. That'll make you feel better."
Thank you very much, lady. Trying to act as human as possible with my hat.
As this conversation is going on, the slightly blubbery fellow that Edwin was talking to slides his stool back and gets up from his table. You see him walk over as though he's going towards the door, and then Brock goes, "Hey, don't forget about paying for them drinks." At which point there's a blubbery man turns around and he goes, "Oh, this should cover it." And he holds his hand out and drops something onto the counter with a chink before walking out. As he does so, you can see he appears to have dropped a gold coin on the counter, and then he walks out of the door. You see, Brock sort of like picks up this coin and he's like. Then he shrugs and like drops it into his pocket. He shouts out the door, "Yeah, all about do it."
I look towards Edwin to see if he caught that. I'm like,
you look around and realise that Edwin's gone.
the man's a mystery. Did it have like a royal crown on it or something like that? Because it clearly didn't know what it was.
Given your current state and the fact it was over the other side of the pub, you couldn't really tell. It's quite dimly lit by like just a few candles in here. And like I say, your vision's sort of swimming a little bit. You're still feeling a bit groggy. If you wanted to have a closer look at it, you'd have to like get a lot closer to the coin.
Yeah. I'll ask Brock. I'll be like, did he pay for his drinks? Did he actually pay for his drinks? Is that actually a gold coin? I hear some unscrupulous people give out fool's gold. Do you want me to check that for you?
He looks a bit sceptical when you say, "Do you want me to check your newly acquired gold coin for you?" But he does sort of take it out of his pocket and he says, "Well, seems like gold, but wow, funniest coin I've ever seen. Still, gold's gold."
Why would you say it's strange?
He sort of stomps over to you and he sort of holds it out so you can like, obviously not so you can like snatch it. 'Cause he seems a bit worried that you're just going to be like, "Oh yes, it is gold." But he holds it out. You can see it's this flat disc of gold, but it's got these strange symbols on it. It doesn't have any of the sort of the human coinage sort of imprints that you're familiar with on it.
So it's definitely not a royalist or a parliamentarian coin. Not from anywhere that I recognise.
Now, however, you can make me the first dice roll of the game if you would like.
Oh, can I, please?
Yeah. Let's see if you understand the language that's on this coin. You have a 1 in 6 chance.
No, John.
So roll
okay, so
that d6.
So is this languages?
Yep.
Did I roll? I think I did.
You did roll.
I rolled a 5, John.
So it's obviously very old, but it's not a language you're familiar with. At which point Brock sort of like pockets it again, and he's like, "Yeah, well, like I said, gold's gold. You're looking after him, are you, Poppy?" He says to his missus, and she's like, "Oh, yeah, yes, Brock. His friends asked me to keep an eye on him. Look at the poor fellow. He's pale, like he hasn't got a drop of blood in him. Look at him." And she sort of puts her hand on your leg and says, "You'll be all right with us, though, dearie. Don't you worry about it."
Thank you. I'll sit back down and I'll check my wounds as well, make sure they're not infected. I do believe Sasha did a pretty good job.
Yeah, you've been patched up pretty well. You seem fine. You don't see any obvious signs of infection.
It's good.
Okay, so I'm speaking of Sasha. I'm going to cut across to you now. Sasha, what are you up to while all this tomfoolery is going on?
She was trying to find some clothing for Marco.
Yeah, that's not a problem. You'll easily be able to find someone who will sell you some clothes for the price listed in the equipment list. That's not a problem. That may take you like a few minutes.
Okay. Well, she'll buy a pair of boots and no, not a pair of boots. A pair of pants and a shirt. That will be it.
Okay, you've made your purchases. Obviously, deduct the amount from your total wealth. As you're sort of heading back to the inn, I presume, you see an excited-looking younger man sort of running down the street. He appears to be heading towards the church, and as you sort of, he's like running, he's like, it's like this really sort of like excited look on his face. And as he's running, you look over to the church, and you can just see Williams emerging out of the church. Obviously, William, you look across the street, you see Sasha, and you also see this young man like sort of puffing and panting. Like he must be about 10. He's sprinting as fast as his little legs will carry him towards the church. He's like, "Father!
She'll wave to William.
I just try to go to Sasha as fast as possible.
Yep, that is not a problem. So we've got the two of you who are stood sort of like just outside the church, basically, and this young lad is running towards it excitedly. He pretty much just barrels straight past you, William, trying to get into the church. You hear the voice of Father York from inside saying, "Oh, what is it, Jim? Has there been a problem?" And from inside the church, you say, "Oh, Father, look what I found down by the beach."
I go closer.
Okay,
I want to see what he shows him.
Okay, you step back into the church. You see the young fellow. He reaches inside his pouch, takes out what appears to be a small statue that is apparently made of gold. It's about the size of a hand. It appears to show. It looks very similar to the little talisman that you were given, but on a slightly larger scale. Father York says, "Oh, well, what have you got there?" Jimmy says, "I just found it washed up on the beach, Father. I think it's gold. Got real gold." "Oh, the Lord be preserved," says Father York. "Oh, well, I've never seen anything like that before. Why don't you come and have a sit down, Jim, and tell me all about it?" At which point the young lad sits down and he starts regaling Father York with this tale of how he was walking along the beach. He was making his way towards the harbour, hoping to be there for the festival. And then as he was walking down the beach, he kicked what he thought was at first a pebble, but he noticed something shining in the sand, and when he bent down and uncovered it, he found this small golden statue as though it had been washed there by the tide. Well, it would appear you have indeed been blessed by the Almighty, Jim. Please, would you pray with me and say a prayer of thankfulness for this bounty that the Lord has bestowed on you? At which point, young Jim's like, "Oh, yes, of course, Father." And they kneel down, sort of facing this altar with this small statue placed in front of them. And Father York begins to give a prayer of thanks for God's mercy and his bounty.
Well, while they're doing this, Sasha will go up behind Will and put her hand on his shoulder and let's go.
I want this hand.
I don't think they'll part with it if it's gold.
I still want it. I want the rest of their trinkets too.
See, kind of forceful but gentle, puts her arm around him and turns him around and escorts him out. You know what? We'll get back to that. Not here, not now.
You could say it is cursed.
And they'll ask questions how we know that. So.
We come from somewhere else. Maybe we know stuff.
Yeah, but keep a low profile and all that, right?
Fish are dying. Could be the statue. Come on, don't say you're not curious.
Do you think it's related?
Of course it's related. What do you think? That's some old god here, and I pull out my squid pendant. It's not from my people, but it's related to whatever is happening here.
Yeah, but,
Fish don't just die like that.
Look, people who live near the coast are always kind of like odd and weird. So sometimes let's discuss.
They're more normal than others.
Yeah, sure. Let's wait till Edwin is back and we'll talk with him about it.
Fine. At least I got my pendant. But I want the rest of it.
So you got a pendant?
I show it the squid pendant to her. He just gave it to me when I said my parents died.
As they cross the road, I assume he's not making too much of resistance.
What?
She'll drag him, not drag.
No.
Yeah, but I mean, let's come up with a plan first, and not
They could be worshipping my people.
Is your people squids?
Yes. Among others.
Among others, no. But you're not a fish.
Oh, you never saw my true form. Of course, so you don't know.
Oh, here's a tip. You don't go around murdering priests in the daylight.
I don't want to murder him, I just want to tell him it's cursed. Maybe I will murder him when they don't believe me.
Yeah, but, I mean, current form is a little boy, and people don't have a tendency to take little boys all that seriously. So,
He gave me the pendant.
well, probably more out of pity.
Okay, at this point we cut back across to Edwin. Edwin, you've been travelling towards Salazar's tower, following the directions you've been given. As you're approaching the tower, you see there's basically like a small sort of garden around this sort of one-storey tower. It's not like a massive wizard's tower, it's just a small sort of building. In fact, it's smaller than the beacon, the lighthouse you were at previously. As you're walking towards it, you can see that there's a fairly neatly tended sort of garden by the side of it, and you're walking along. There's bushes and shrubbery all around you. As you're walking down the path, it's just starting to get sort of like early evening, like twilight sort of time now. As you're walking along, you stop suddenly when you see what appears to be a foot sticking out of the bottom of one of the bushes.
Is there a boot on it?
There is indeed.
So I tentatively prod it with the tip of my arm.
Okay, you prod the foot, and as you're sort of looking through the bushes now, you can see there's a man wearing a sort of buff jacket and sort of fairly neat looking clothes. He's lying on his back, his eyes have rolled back into his head, he's obviously dead. You can see that in his side there is a sort of piercing wound, probably from something like a rapier or something similar based on the wound, and it appears as though someone's like stashed his body in the bushes basically.
Does he appear armed?
You can see that he has a dagger in a belt, but he doesn't appear to have any other obvious arms on him, although given the way he's dressed in the manner of a mercenary or a soldier, perhaps, something you would be intimately familiar with.
Huh. Well, I take my arquebus and just hold it in front of me, since apparently there's something afoot here that is quite dangerous. And so this is the garden before the so-called tower.
That's correct.
Right. Yeah. Is there lights on? Like, can I see signs of life?
As you're getting closer, you can actually see in the sort of the window there is flickering light, which would suggest there are candles in there.
If I stop at the door, do I hear anything?
Okay, as you stop at the door and you sort of like listen against it, you can hear what sound like raised voices from inside. You can't quite make out what they're saying through the very thick wooden door, but you can definitely hear two distinct voices. One of them has a slightly sort of foreigner lilt, a sort of musical lilt to it, whereas the other sounds just like a gruff sort of voice. They're obviously arguing or heatedly discussing something.
Well, I'm going to stand to the side and try to slowly test the door to see if it's locked, so that I don't just like
Okay, as you move
ram the locked door.
As you move towards the door, you can actually see that it's like open, a tiny crack, so it's obviously not locked.
Okay. I'm standing next to the door, and I wanna try and like open it a little bit more so that I can listen in on their conversation.
Okay, you open the door, standing way to the side of it to listen a bit more. And as the door gets about sort of halfway open, there's a loud that you recognise as the sound of a pistol shot coming from inside, and the wood on the edge of the door is like chewed up. There's obviously someone has fired from inside when they saw the door opening. You're in no danger because you quite wisely stood to one side of the door.
Okay, I do not move.
As the shot goes off, the voices inside just stop dead. Although you're hearing slightly, sort of, your ears are ringing because of the sound of this pistol shot, you can just about make out footsteps walking towards the door from the inside.
Is the tower round or?
It's round, yeah.
Like, yeah, okay. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna back off. Like, are the footsteps like rapid, or is this person taking their time getting to the door?
They appear to be more sort of slow and forceful.
So I leave my little impromptu sack, which is actually a shirt that contains the zombie head. I leave it on the grass by the door, and I make my way around the tower so that I'm sort of behind, on the opposite side of the tower, really.
Okay, not a problem. Just let me reveal some of this. Okay, so would you like to move yourself to where you want to be?
So around there. And I would leave the head by the door.
Okay, not a problem. You leave the head by the door, and then after a few moments you hear the door, what's left of it, open fully. You can see you can't see, but you can hear someone walk out. There's a few moments pause, then you hear a voice saying, "Captain, I think we've got someone snooping out here." There's a murmured voice in response from inside, and then it was the zombie head that you left out outside the front.
Yep.
Then you hear like the sound of something being like cloth sort of like furrowing. You think they must be unwrapping the head that you've left in this shirt. Then you hear the voice sounding slightly more panicked, say, Captain, you've got to have a look at this." Then like
So I presume that sound was them closing the door.
Indeed.
When they go back in. Okay, I'm gonna sneak the fuck out. Yeah. I'm gonna crouch in the bushes, do the whole like Pink Panther thing, and get out.
Absolutely fine. You're just about to sneak in the bushes when, so like you're crouched by the side of this tower, when bizarrely like what appears to be a rope made out of like sheets like drops down the outside of the tower and literally like lands next to you. And as you look up, you can basically just see like what appears to be the arse of somebody like climbing out of a window.
Hiding in the nearest bush and keeping an eye on this person and my gun as well.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. You are hidden. So you hide yourself in the bush, and as you're watching, you see what appears to be a young boy with black hair climbs down this improvised rope. he lands. Obviously, he's obviously trying to be as quiet as he can. He looks around him with like a slight look of panic and fear on his face. Then you see he starts to sort of like jog off in the direction of Porthcrawl.
I'm heading after him.
Yeah.
My intention being that I'm gonna try and run him down like a fair bit away from the tower.
Okay, that's not a problem. He's a young lad. He looks fairly sort of malnourished, not in the best of health, so it doesn't take you a great deal of time to sort of outpace him. Obviously, you being a trained soldier in the peak of your fitness, and him not being. He's like a young lad of about 8 years old. You can see he's like running, but obviously he's not used to like running long distance. He looks quite sort of like pale and wheezy, and after like a while he's like and he like has to slow down into like a sort of a walk basically, but he keeps glancing behind him sort of fearfully back towards the tower. You easily catch up with him.
I'm like, slow down.
As you sort of emerge out of the bushes and you slow down, he's like,
I am the knight.
he sort of jumps as though he's like, he didn't think anyone was following him. He obviously hadn't spotted you at all. At which point he sort of holds his hands up and he's like, look, there's no need to shoot me. I didn't say anything. Honest, I didn't.
Who are you? Why were you up there?
He looks at you and says, I'm Borden.
Right. So, what were you doing up there?
What do you mean? I live there. I'm Mr. Salazar's apprentice. I like keep his garden for him, and I fetch and carry stuff for him.
And you came down through the window. Why?
Because of the soldiers.
The soldiers have Salazar.
Well, yeah, they turned up this morning and they forced their way into the tower. And I don't know what they're talking about, but they've been arguing with Salazar for like hours, and they brought something in with them. I don't know what it was, but it was making horrible noises, sir. I was afraid for my life, sir.
Shut up.
I wish when he sort of cringes back as if he's expecting you to like shoot him.
And I go in and I grab him, one hand on his mouth, and I go like this, looking at, just to make sure that no one was in earshot.
Okay, make me a D6 roll.
D6. That's a 5.
Okay, you look around. It doesn't appear as though anyone has followed him. You think probably that given that they've obviously found the head that you left, they were perhaps a bit more occupied by that than some like young lad doing what.
Yep.
But you wait for a few minutes, sort of crouch down with your hand over his mouth, and he's not. I mean, you could feel him like shaking. He's obviously like in fear of his life. But after a few minutes, you're pretty satisfied no one's following you from the tower.
Right. So I let my hand off of his mouth, and I go, "Now listen, you're gonna come with me. You're gonna tell the same story to my friends, and then we're gonna see what we can do about Salazar."
Okay, please, sir. Yeah, of course I'll come with you, but please, sir, you've got to help him. He's been ever so kind to me.
Yeah, sure. And I hand him the dead man's dagger that I took from the corpse earlier, and
he takes it off you and he sort of like clings it in both hands, so it's like a life preserver.
I just clap him on the shoulder and try not to shit your pants. And I take him by the hand and lead him to the public house.
Okay, no problem at all. So, I'm assuming that you guys are all going to meet back at the inn at some point. Would that be fair to assume, or is there anything else you guys particularly want to do?
No, after the church says it's gonna take William back to the siren's call.
I wouldn't try. I would like to attend the blessing of the catch. That's all.
Yeah,
I don't know when it is.
You've still got plenty of time for that. So sometime later, just as it's starting to sort of get a little bit darker, all of you guys are back at the inn when Edwin comes in with this young sort of 8-year-old lad, sort of bowl cut, sort of black hair, who seriously looks like he's scared out of his wits. He's shaking, he's pale, he's got like the sweat of fear beading his brow, and Edwin basically sort of manhandles him in the gentlest sense of the word, like into this inn. And you see your friends sort of sat around the fire. Poppy has left you alone for a little bit now that your friends are back, obviously Marku, but she pretty much sat with you until your friends turned up.
Okay, before we do that, Sash is gonna give Marku 3 silvers and the clothes he bought to him. Just so that's out of the way.
Okay, so when the clothes are, obviously this all happens before Edwin turns up, but when the clothes are handed over to you, that's just as Poppy's leaving, and she's like, she looks at you and she says, "Oh, if you need any help getting into them, sir, in your weakened state, just let me know."
That's okay, we got it.
And she sort of places her hand on your shoulder, Marco, and like gives your shoulder a gentle squeeze. And then, with a slight look of disappointment, when Sasha says, "Oh no, we've got it," she says, "Well, you know where I am, dearies. If you need any help, I'll just be in the kitchen getting some food ready." And she gives you quite a warm smile, Marco, and then she disappears offward. And then it's about 15 minutes later after that Edwin busts in with his frightened youth.
Edwin, have you brought someone else to join our merry band?
Remains to be seen. For the minute, he has a place here in the town, but go on now. Tell them what you told me.
The youth sort of sits down, like I say, sort of still trembling, and says, "Well, I work for the sage Salazar. I'm his apprentice. I look after his garden and do his fetching and carrying for him. And this morning I was just getting up, and these soldiers burst into the tower, and I was upstairs, so I don't know what they were talking about, but they were arguing with Salazar, and they brought something in with them. I don't know what it was, but it was making all these horrible noises. And then I heard shots and shouting, so I decided I needed to go and get some help. So I tied all my sheets together and climbed out of the window, and that's when I ran into this fellow here." And he sort of points a fear-shaking finger at Edwin.
I hand him a tankard of beer.
He takes it and he starts like glugging it down.
So was that the guy from the letter?
Looks like it.
I'm guessing you want to go up and save him or something silly like that?
Not particularly, no. What he left out was that there's another one of those things in there.
Oh.
Apparently there was another shipment.
At which point the young lad looks at you and he's like, "Oh, what do you mean things, sir?"
Well, I'm definitely not going up there if there's another thing up there.
You see, like, every time you guys say the word "thing," like this youth looks more and more scared.
I mean, I just bought some new boots. I don't want them ruined too. And Makulu isn't up and ready yet.
Yeah, we shouldn't try to fight something.
What I was thinking is, I haven't done it myself before, obviously, but I've seen it done. We could just rile up the village. Torches, pitchforks, the whole thing.
Oh yeah, you know what? We did have a plan.
We did.
So
it's gonna be fucking ugly if we do that. But
yeah, but it might play into our other plan.
We don't want that thing getting loose in the town.
What do you mean thing?
It's not a thing. Just drink your ale. Okay,
drink more.
So,
it will help.
Check this out, Edwin.
Yep. Here's some beer.
The last one nearly killed me.
We'll find out that things are washing up on the beach.
As you say, the last one nearly killed me. There's a from the direction of the young lad.
I told
Enough
you
with
not
the
to do
thing.
that.
And there's this horrible smell of feces like wafts up from him.
Go wash yourself.
He looks really embarrassed, and he stands up and goes outside, and you see there's like a large like brown stain down the back of his trousers.
Yeah, well, you better help him.
Humans are fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
I give William a sort of a confused look, like surely he would know.
Okay, so he leans into Edwin. There's a lot of gold, and we're thinking we'll give you like
Where does gold come into this? Any of this?
it washes up on the beach.
I
Gold
show you my
does?
pendant.
Yeah, they had a big statue,
Yeah,
solid gold.
William's been outside, sorted this young lad out, comes back in as you're talking about this, and shows you this weird sort of small golden squid pendant with this caricatured human face on it.
So never mind where it comes
Yeah.
from. What we were thinking if that we could get our hands on this by dressing you up, Edwin, as a witch hunter kind of thing. So you come
That's
from
what I was
another-
talking about before with the pitchforks and
Huh? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So we have my highwayman code. We give you a fancy hat, and you put on some holy symbols, and we go into the church, and you're here to investigate the strange going ons, and then you can rile the people up to go do the pitchfork thing, and we'll liberate the goal.
Okay, I think, John, we have our plan for the evening. Oh boy.
I give him my pendant. He tried to tell them these things are cursed or something, so we get them so you can dispose of them or something.
As you're having this discussion, you start hearing the sound of music from outside, sort of like woodwind pipes being played, like people sort of excitedly chattering. And as you sort of glance out of the windows, you can see that the villagers have started to like file out of their homes, and they're heading towards the docks. You can see the father walking along with them, Father York.
Sasha will take off her coat and hand it over to Edwin.
Yeah, so I get in my gear with the wide brim hat and the jacket.
She'll take. So, what church do you want to be? Because I have several pendants. Do you want to be the Westhaven church or the Puritans? I think the Puritans might be best.
Are they mortal enemies or something, John? I forget.
The Puritans aren't so much mortal enemies, to be honest. They're just sort of like an extreme sort of sect of the church.
Yeah. So they're the weird guys. It's not like they're the enemy.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The Puritans it is.
Great. So she'll take out that pendant and give it to him. So do you know enough, like, to make a thunder speech and all that? You know, save
Sure. People are fucking stupid. It doesn't take much. Especially when you wave one of these around, and I shall always.
I will just yell at the priest that he's gave me something cursed. Okay.
Okay, so you guys are going to head out to the procession, and you're going to shout at the priest that he's giving you something cursed. Is that correct?
Well,
my suggestion would be that we go and attend the blessing ceremony, and after that, wrapping up, then while the crowd is still there, we do the thing.
I mean, wouldn't it be strange if a witch hunter comes up with a bunch of kids?
Not really. You're the holy pilgrims. I mean, you're orphans. You have been given onto my care, so that I can bring you up to be righteous. Like, I got this covered. Don't worry.
Okay, but what about Akulo? And she looks back at the redhead bar keep. We can't leave him here. I mean, he might be, assaulted or something. glances over to the redhead at the bar again.
I can keep him safe.
You notice Poppy at the bar appears to be sort of keeping her eyes on Marku.
I am 100% oblivious to this attention. As I'm listening to them discuss this plan.
We should just keep him here. He's injured.
Yeah, but okay, I guess. So,
I mean, in game terms, John, am I like on the cusp of dead again? Like, am I at 0 hit points?
Yeah, at the moment.
Right. Okay. So I can't get hit and survive. I'm still in. if you need people.
I don't think it's a good idea.
If you need someone to like move at walking pace and talk, he's your man.
Yeah.
I could mind the car if you need to make a getaway.
You're the driver.
I don't think you should attend anything currently. It's not a good idea if you want to keep your character.
You can stand outside and have a look.
I could be a lookout, like if something unexpected
if something happens, you and then like I probably point to the counter. Like you get the bell, you ring that if something jumps up.
Okay.
I think if you're wanting to pull this off, everyone's going to have to be involved in some fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Let's try it.
I owe you at least some assistance after you patched me up after that. Looking over the kid, that thing.
You notice that the kid doesn't seem to be paying that much attention now, but he has like drank an exceedingly large amount of beer for an 8-year-old. He's sort of like wobbling a little bit on his seat, and his eyes are sort of rolling around a little bit.
Okay.
I'm gonna go pay for his room, or like a place to stay here.
Yeah, fine, that's fine.
Before we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So somebody be collecting the scope.
I'm gonna rent a room too for her and Will, and she's gonna put all the extra gear up so I'm not encumbering when we run around.
That's absolutely
yeah. Me too.
I leave my tent here because it's big. Yep.
So that was 5 copper, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can we share a room?
Yeah, we share a room.
Okay. I just ask if it's possible, or if we have to pay for both.
It's definitely possible.
Okay.
Okay, so as you guys are getting ready for this, you see that Brock, the barman's like, right, Poppy, I'm off to Blessing. You come in. She's like, oh no, I think I best stay here, dear, and make sure our guests are looked after. I mean, so some of them are a little bit under the weather. You go run along, dear. You have a good time at the Blessing. He's like, oh, all right, and disappears out the door. And you see him, you're not stomping away.
Yeah.
As the door opens, the music gets briefly louder, and then
Sassy gonna take one of the extra pistols and kind of lift up Marcus' cloak and put it in under him. So maybe you should keep this.
Maybe I will. I assume I've had a chance to get changed into my new fancy, new robes.
Yeah, that's fine.
No.
Yeah. Stuck on the hat though.
Okay, so are the rest of you guys heading off to the Blessing?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
well, I'll deal with what happens with Marku first, and then I'll jump to you guys.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean? What happens to me?
I don't like
you get
that.
shivved and you die.
Okay.
Dysentery is no way to kill a character, John.
Okay, so your friends have left. They've gone to this procession that you can hear as the music's getting slightly fainter. You think they must be heading towards the docks. As they've gone, Poppy, this sort of slightly like dumpy red-haired woman, comes and sits next to you, and she puts a hand on your knee and says, So how are you feeling now, dear?
A little bit better, thank you. A little bit. It's a nice place.
Haven't I seen you around the village?
Yeah, I've done a few odds and ends. Even, recently took up work with these guys.
Oh, well, it's good to see some new blood coming into the village. We don't get many newcomers around these parts.
We don't. I remember when I first got here, people were a bit apprehensive of me. But I've settled in okay.
She sort of like pinches your leg, not sort of like forcefully, but just sort of like gently, and then says, "Oh, well, I'm not surprised you're feeling ill, dear. Look, there's barely any meat on you." And she slides like another bowl of this like fish stew towards you. Says, "Oh, get that down, you love. That'll put meat on your bones."
All right. As a player, John, I'm just like I'm a little bit. I'm gonna eat it. Yeah, of course I am.
Yep.
Do I feel okay? Do I feel alright?
Well, no, you feel like shit, to be honest, but you don't feel any
Right.
more shit since you've been like sitting there eating. But
How does my fingers look?
as you would expect them to.
Okay, just checking.
You eat this stew. It's a bit watery and a bit flavourless, but it's what it is. And then she's sort of like, "Oh well, I suppose I should be thinking about shutting up for the evening soon. Going around checking all the windows and stuff like that. Although I could do with a little bit of help."
Oh yeah, sure, no problem. I can do that for you. Be a pleasure. I appreciate the kindness you've shown me. So Marco will get up and so keep his hat down and stuff. Just want people to know his heritage, and he'll start helping up clear up if he can.
Yeah, not a problem. She goes to like the upstairs room. She's just going around doing a bit of cleaning, a bit of dusting, etc. You're in one of the sort of like larger rooms. You're sort of like moving the curtains and whatever, when suddenly you hear a of the door like locking behind you.
Why do I feel like I'm now the one in much more danger than anyone else? All right. All right. Well, it's night time, isn't it? It's a perfectly reasonable thing to do to lock up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is anybody else about? Or is it just...
That's just you and her in this room. It's now locked.
All right. Okay.
You turn around and she's sat on the bed in the middle of the room. She sort of pats the bed next to her and says, "Oh, well, thank you very much for all the help you give me. You've been working so hard. Why don't you just come and have a sit down, dearie?"
So, Marku will cock an eyebrow. Probably about a choice of words there. And go sit down next to her.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. You sit down next to her, at which point she sort of leans in close to you, a mouth no more like a centimetre away from your ear, and in a breathy, sort of semi-husky voice, she says, "We don't see many people like you round here."
Not sure what you mean.
And as she's saying this, she like gently like runs a hand up and runs it along the tip of one of your ears.
Oh.
I love the thought of your character being like, "Oh."
Oh.
I see.
This isn't going to be a blood drinking thing, is it?
She sort of she laughs and sort of like gently like punches you in the shoulder, and she's like, "Oh no!"
I immediately pass out. No, I'm still.
If you wish to immediately pass out, you can do.
No, I'll stay conscious for the moment. I don't want to wake up in an abattoir.
But before you have a chance to say anything further, she leans closer and passionately kisses you on the mouth.
Right. So, Marku will return the kiss. And yeah.
Okay, you return her kiss. Either as you sort of disengage, as it were, and you sort of pull back, you've got this odd sort of almost like briny, like sort of saltwatery taste in your mouth.
That's new. I don't say that out loud. You know something? I think I'm feeling a little ill. I think I'm just going to rest up.
She sort of gestures to the bed and says, "Oh well, why don't you have a lie down then?" And then again in a slightly lower voice says, "My husband could be gone for at least half an hour." And she lies down next to you and sort of idly runs one of her fingers down your chest.
Right. Okay. So, it's not the first time Marku's been with a human. It's a little bit weird. The brownie thing. Does she have any? Can I see any like the pendants or anything on there, or?
Not that you can see.
Alright. I guess I'll go to sleep then, John.
Okay.
If I'm not be suspicious.
Okay, you go to sleep. So we'll fade to black on that, and we'll cut across to the rest of you.
Maybe we should end it here on a cliffhanger, because we only have a quarter hour left.
Yeah, pretty much my plan is to have you shout, "Oh, you've given me this cursed item." We'll have them respond, and then that'll be the sort of the end of it.
Okay.
So you guys have headed out. You can see that pretty much every villager in the village has joined this procession. They're playing on wood, like panpipes, and there's a few drums. There's also some like weird instruments you're not entirely sure what they are, sort of strange like conch shells and horns and things of that variety. And in fact, as you look around, you can see that a lot of the villagers appear to have some like deformities, or they're wearing bandages. Several of them appear to be like hunchbacked. Some of them have like odd sort of like shuffling walks as they're sort of heading towards the docks. You can see the father at the front, Father York. He's sort of holding up his religious icon, his cross, and he's saying, "Follow me, people. We will bless this harvest and give thanks to the Lord above for his beneficence in bestowing another, we hope, bountiful harvest on our small village." Which when everyone's like, "Yeah, praise the Lord." And they'll carry on this music playing. They're heading towards the docks. As you're getting nearer to the docks, you can smell this sort of aroma of fish wafting up into the air. You can see that there are several boats that have obviously landed on the harbour. There's several of these sort of malformed fishermen sort of lugging like lobster pots and crates containing what appears to be a vast amount of fish onto the sort of wharfs, the jetties. As they look them out, they just literally like empty them out onto the jetties, and you see this vast tide of fish flow out onto these wooden walkways, and dotted amongst them you see what appear to be small nuggets of gold.
Are they bringing fish in or throwing fish out in the sea?
No, they're bringing them in. They've literally rowed their boats up, got out of their boats with the fish and gone, "Here's the catch," empty them all out. All these fish have fallen out onto the sort of walkways, and you can see these like small ingots of gold dotted amongst the fish.
Okay, Sasha will look a little nervous and try to stay behind Edwin.
Okay, so a change in the plan. We can't really say that the gold is cursed because they love it, and their priest loves it as well. So not much we can do there right now, anyway.
I don't think our plan will go too well, but we will see.
Well, no, I mean, maybe it's time to, revisit the plan and, rob the church and get the out of here.
As you're saying that, the music has died down a little bit, and Father York stands up at the front of the crowd. Someone's put like a barrel there. He stands up on the barrel in front of everyone, and he says, "Our Father, who is Lord of all the skies above and the seas below, we thank you for this bounteous harvest, for your majesty that preserves us for another year. We give thanks that our fishermen have returned safely from their voyages and that they can share your bounty with all of those in the village." At which point there's a general murmur of agreement filters through the crowd, and he continues sort of sermonising in a similar vein. As he's doing so, you notice like people coming forward, and like the fishermen are like handing fish to them.
Okay. Just before I go up to the priest, there was a body in the garden of the sage, so obviously whatever is going on up there, whoever it is, they're not really friends of the locals. And I heard talk about the parliamentarian ideals in the public house, so the locals are probably leaning that way. And the last people we got caught in the caves, they were royalists for sure. So I think it might be a bunch of royalists up there hassling the sage, which these people might be more than merry to murder. So it might work, but we have to leave the gold off the list, because that, like, just look at that.
When they distribute the fish, do they just leave the nuggets of gold?
Yeah, they don't seem to be passing out the nuggets of gold.
I'm just gonna,
Get in there with a bucket.
Well, she looks at Will. You're kind of small. Maybe you could, pick up a few nuggets here and there.
Let's try. And I jump down there and try to go into all this, getting some fish and maybe catch a nugget here and there.
Okay, make me a stealth roll.
Sure.
Yeah, not a problem. You sneak in there. Well, you take a fish, which is freely given to you. You notice, as it is given to you, the person who hands it over to you, he appears to have a slightly deformed face. And as he hands this fish over to you, you see that his hands are sort of pallid and clammy, and they have this distinctive webbing between the fingers. But he hands you this fish, and you sort of pretend to drop it. And when you reach down to scoop it up, you just like scoop up one of these golden ingots as well. No one appears to notice.
Okay. Yeah, I just do that and go back.
Okay.
So you wanna rile them up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to where the preacher is, I presume, still talking to the crowd.
Indeed, Father York is still up there, preaching righteousness.
Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna just straight up walk to him. I have my bandit coat on, my white hat, 2 pistols tucked visibly onto my belt, and my rapier, and my arquebus. I'm armed to the teeth as I get up there to grab the priest's attention.
As you climb up next to him, he looks at you and says, "Blessings of the catch upon you, my son."
Father, I would like to address the village, if you don't mind. And I show him the holy symbol that I got, the Puritan one.
Please, of course, as a fellow man of the cloth, please, my friends, please. There is another man of faith who wishes to speak to us about God's great work. Please give him your attention. At which point, the general talking dies down a bit, and everyone turns to look at you, Edwin.
I see that you are a righteous people. The sea gives the gold. Apparently, your piety knows no limits, and the harvest, such bounty.
There's a few cheers and sort of claps from amongst the crowd.
Mm-hmm. However, as it always does, evil makes its way into paradise. I leave a pause for them to go like, oh.
Yeah, everyone's sort of like leaning closer, like, wait and see what you're going to say.
Mm-hmm. I have witnessed with my own eyes a horror abhorrent to God and all men and women and children and everything that is good and walks upon the earth. And my brothers and sisters, whatever your sentiments might be, I am merely a man of God. I hold no opinion on the matters of men. The royalists, the king's men, have brought a horror into your village.
There's several jeers and boos when you mention royalists. Bloody royalists.
Behold, the tower of your local sage, Salazar, I am told, and I look to the priest to confirm this.
He nods.
It is not given unto me to understand the ways of these devil men, but they have brought a horror, and I can only presume that they seek to use this wise man of yours, this learned sage, to some unholy purpose, maybe even destroy him and corrupt him into their horrible ways.
Someone in the crowd shouts, "We've got to help Salazar!" And there's a few sort of like jeers and sort of like shouts of agreement.
Yeah. And I nod and I point out to these people in the crowd, like, exactly, this is what the Lord has given us this night. The bounty, yes, but a task also. Yep.
Tess is gonna try to infiltrate some of the locals and kind of go with the booze against the royalist and try to rile them up.
That's absolutely fine. As you're saying this,
I tried to use this distraction to get some more nuggets.
Yeah, that's fine. You can have another couple of nuggets.
Okay.
As you're saying, it's a number of people have like picked up like fishing spears and sort of like various like farm implements, and they're sort of like waving them, getting quite riled up.
To the tower.
And I
which point you're like to the tower, and some go, yeah, to the tower,
to the tower,
yeah. And basically this crowd sort of like surges forth from the village of Porthcrawl, like several of them sort of like lighting torches as they go, and they start to like waving them above their head, and you see this procession of torches and sort of sharp implements heading northwards as night falls, and as the cries for vengeance sort of head upwards towards the north. That is almost where we're going to draw an end to this session. However, as we fade out of that scene of mob violence impending that's heading northwards, we cut back to the quietness of the Siren's Whisper, a small tavern. Asleep in one of the rooms is a young elf, slightly injured by his exertions. You, however, find yourself troubled by a horrible dream, Marku. In that dream, you're underwater, you're struggling to swim to the surface to draw breath, and then you feel something cold and clammy wrap around your legs as this like huge tentacled mass begins to pull you down deeper into the darkness of the water. You can feel your lungs burning in your chest as you struggle for breath. Then, as you burst into wakefulness, the moon casting its light through the window of the tavern, you're like, and that's where we end the session.
Okay. Very nice.
Yeah, really just some dirty, rotten scoundrels.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get some iron out. I don't know about you.
Well, thank you very much for playing that, guys. I know there wasn't really a lot of like monster killery or sort of
No,
money gain.
no problem. It's
However,
a really interesting session.
Given that it was all roleplay based, I'm sort of eyeballing the XP here a bit, but I'm going to give you all 110 XP.
Yeah.
I mean, Marcus should get more because, like, he's in the middle of a giant demon encounter right now.
Why are
Doesn't
you
make
going to
really-
be like that?
doesn't
Why are
really
you gonna
make a
be like
difference. So, I think I gotta go off, though.
No
Good
problems.
night.
Take care, dude.
Yo, see ya.
Bye bye.
Obviously, I'm happy to talk for a bit, guys. I'm just going to finish, wrap up the recording.
I mean, I'll just let the record show